okay, but I guess being selfish and wanting her here, it's a bittersweet.
That was the mother of murdered Fairfax County teenager, just 3 days after police found her daughter's body in a park last January. Tonight, there's breaking news of an arrest in the murder of 16-year-old Jholie Moussa. Fox 5's Lauren DeMarco is live in Alexandria with word on who police say is responsible tonight. Lauren?
Sarah, 9 months since her death, flowers and teddy bears line the sign here at Woodlawn Park where Jholie Moussa's body was found. Police say that it was covered with debris and leaves when officers found her. The cause of death, smothering and blunt force trauma. She lived less than a mile from this park. Her boyfriend lives within walking distance, and he is now facing charges in her murder. Take a look. Nebiyu Ebrahim is facing first-degree murder charges, and while police were searching for Jholie, they learned previously unreported information that led them to file charges against him for the strangulation and assault of Jholie in a prior incident. He was being released today after serving time for those charges, and that's when he was picked up for her murder. We knocked on his parents' door tonight, but they declined to speak with us. Neighbors say he grew up here in this neighborhood, and even though they knew charges were likely, they are stunned that police believe this young man is responsible for taking his ex-girlfriend's life.
So you're surprised to hear that?
Yeah, I mean,
So he seemed like a nice kid?
a nice kid, yeah. I know him for a long time, very nice.
On the night of January 12th, Jholie Moussa told her twin sister she was heading out but would be right back. She never returned. Upon learning of the arrest tonight, Jolie's mother told Fox 5, quote, "Praise God," but said that she's still processing this and isn't ready to talk on camera. Family members say police initially treated the 16-year-old's case as a runaway. In fact, her aunt has now started a nonprofit organization, notarunaway.org, to help other families of missing teens. In their press release tonight, Fairfax County Police thanked other agencies for their help, including the FBI, and they said, quote, "Detectives, crime scene technicians, laboratory scientists, and victim service advocates have worked arduously in the pursuit of justice." Now, Nebiyu Ebrahim is being held in the adult detention center. He is 18 years old, but he was 17 at the time of Jolie's death. There will be an arraignment tomorrow. They will decide if there's probable cause, and if so, then he will face trial as an adult.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jholie Parker. I am the Director of the Media Relations Bureau for the Fairfax County Police. We appreciate you being here today, and we are here to discuss yesterday's arrest of 18-year-old Nebiyu Ebrahim in the January murder of 16-year-old Jholie Moussa. While our department is incredibly grateful for this arrest, our hearts remain heavy for the Moussa family. This morning you'll hear from Chief Rossler, followed by Major Crimes Commander Rich Perez, and we're also going to let you know about some great police work that continues in this case. We'll get with you offline about that, but we're going to provide you, the media, access to some of this police work that's going on this morning, and likely will go on into this afternoon, and we will update the community on exactly what's taking place with that later today. More details on that to come. But for now, Chief Rossler.
On behalf of the men and women of the Fairfax County Police Department, my prayers continue for Jholie's family. This is yet another horrible, tragic death of a young person from our community that had a bright future. From the moment that we got this call, we did not stop to find Jholie. Major Perez will follow me and describe the steps that we have taken to date and where we are going in the future to make sure we bring justice to Jholie and her family. Again, my prayers continue for Jholie's family. Major Rich Perez, the commander of the Major Crimes Bureau, will now join me and provide you with details of the investigation. Rich?
Thank you. As already stated, yesterday homicide detectives filed charges against 18-year-old Ebrahim, Mr. Ebrahim, Nebiyu Ebrahim. The spelling on that is Nebiyu, N-E-B-I-Y-U, and Ebrahim is spelled E-B-R-A-H-I-M. He was charged with the murder of 16-year-old Jholie Moussa. On Saturday, January 13th, Jholie was reported missing by family members after she did not return home after leaving her residence the previous evening, Friday evening. The police department began an intensive investigation searching for Jholie, which led to the discovery of her body on January 25th. Her body was discovered by members of the search and rescue team, partially buried in a shallow site, some distance off the footpath within Woodland Park, which is located in the 4800 block of Manor Drive in the Alexandria area of the county. During the ensuing investigation, detectives developed a person of interest regarding Jholie's disappearance and continued to vigorously investigate the case. On January 30th, we stood before you to inform you that a person of interest had in fact been developed and that every resource had been and would continue to be deployed towards identifying the person or persons responsible for Jholie's death. Yesterday, detectives served 18-year-old Nebiyu Ebrahim with the documents which charges him with Jholie's murder. He is the person of interest who was initially developed. After locating further evidence and establishing the probable cause necessary to make the arrest, he was taken into custody. The defendant lived in the 8400 block of Diablo Court in the Alexandria area of the county. He lived there with his parents. This residence is within walking distance to where Jholie's body was discovered. Our investigation reveals that he was known to Jholie. They were not strangers to each other. Furthermore, our investigation reveals the defendant had previously assaulted Jholie. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner has ruled the cause of death to be asphyxia by smothering and blunt force trauma, and the manner of death homicide. More than 25 law enforcement personnel, including detectives, FBI agents, crime analysts, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children representatives, and officers from outside our region assisted in the search for Jholie. A total of 12 search warrants have been executed on this case as the department has tried to bring justice to the death of Jholie Moussa. Every technology and resource available to the police department was deployed and detectives, crime scene technicians, laboratory scientists, victim services advocates have worked arduously in the pursuit of justice. In fact, as we speak, officers from the dive team and the crime scene detectives are conducting yet another search for further possible evidence at a water retaining pond near the intersection of Pondside Terrace and Pole Road in the Alexandria area of the county. We will continue to provide our unwavering support to be with Jholie's family, friends, and loved ones as this criminal case progresses in court. We thank everyone, including the many agencies who assisted us in the early phase of this investigation, including our FBI partners, and particularly the Commonwealth Attorney's Office of Mr. Ray Morrow, who has been with us every step of the way and now will prosecute this case. Because this is a murder trial, which is now just beginning, the police department will likely have no further updates as this case now falls to the purview of the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. I will take a few questions, but please be understanding and mindful that questions that relate to the operation or evidence and the prosecution that's yet to occur, we won't be able to elaborate on those items. Questions?
How long had her body been there? Do you have any idea whether she had been there the entire time when she...
We do have a real good estimate as to how long the body had been there. That's one of those questions that I won't be able to go into.
What evidence are you searching for in the pond today?
We know precisely what it is that we're looking for, and again, that's one of those things that I'm not going to be able to further elaborate on, sir. Next question.
Since knowing that he was previously arrested for assaulting her, are you able to say anything about why he was released and whether, I guess, what sort of happened in that between his previous arrest and when she was killed?
I don't have that information on that. Next question.
The previous assault arrest, is that a different incident?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, it is. The question was the previous assault a different incident? Yes, it was.
Were there two assaults?
There were two different assaults, a simple assault and a strangulation charges.
And those were separate incidents?
Yes, ma'am.
Which there were some concerns, I believe, on the part of the family initially that maybe this was handled as a runaway case as opposed to potentially a crime. How do you answer to that, Chief?
Sure.
I'm going to be direct on that question. We as a police department, from the moment we received the call, never stopped to find Jholie. We entered her into the missing juvenile system, which then has national and regional reach. As the Major said, we worked with our federal, state, and local jurisdictions in this area to find Jholie, and we worked very hard. One of the key issues in this is a law that was passed over a year ago, which prohibits us from releasing the name of a juvenile in certain cases where they're a victim. And unfortunately, we had to go to the family and seek written consent. This is a family that was suffering, and for us to have to use this law that prohibits our transparency to find the suspect, to bring justice to the family, we're in a position of re-traumatizing families across our jurisdiction because of this law. And we used every resource to try to find her immediately. But sometimes in cases where children are missing, we need the name because we have social media and we could get tips. And that's one of the things that hinders cases like this. The law needs to change.
Chief, could I follow up on that? I don't believe there was any search for Jholie from the moment she was reported missing. I mean, her body was, if in fact it was there the day she went missing, I mean, never saw any search party. The family was desperate, and the family was not holding back the name. I mean, they were putting the name out everywhere.
I'm going to turn this over to Major Rich Perez because that's not true.
Okay.
There was searches that have occurred over and over and over again. Before the weekend was over, a multitude of searches
Do you know, sir, if there was a period of time where she was alive after she was reported missing?
The question is, do I know if there was a period of time that she was alive after she was missing? I do know the answer to that question. Again, that's one of those things that I'm not going to be able to further elaborate on in any way, shape, or form.
So with the questions of, getting information out there about a search, could there have been a chance for the community to see her?
Again, where we found her on that day of the 25th was out at a park, at Woodland Park. If you're asking, could somebody have seen the body there? The body, as I described, was in a shallow grave covered with leaves, as we have previously said. So it was pretty secluded off the path where we did find the body.
Chief, were you guys at all concerned, knowing that you pretty much knew who had done this crime, and yet with the technicality of him having been charged with the assault and then being released, were you at all concerned that he could flee, that you had him, but the system was going to let him out before you could get him again?
We were not concerned at all. We worked with all our partners to bring justice in this case, and I have all the confidence in the world in Mr. Morrow and his staff to continue that journey of justice. The questions that you are posing right now, I can assure you that the police department and every other agency did everything possible to find Jholie. We are now doing everything possible to bring justice. Unfortunately, the details that we possess are for trial, and those will come out and answer your questions. So I'm going to conclude there. And again, my prayers to Jholie's family. I will continue to pray for them in our community. Thank you.
Thank you all. We'll get with you offline on the specifics about the dive team's work.
So I'm here live in Fairfax County, Virginia, in the Alexandria area, the Mount Vernon area specifically. This is not far where Jholie Moussa used to live, and it's also just a few blocks away from where the person now charged with her murder lives, where his family lives on Diablo Court. This is a pond, and if you can see over here, Fairfax County Police are set up, and they have had divers in this pond searching for evidence related to the case. So let me just flip around so you can kind of get a better look. This is basically like a townhouse community, and this little pond sits back here, a drainage pond. It's a nice little place right here, but you can see over here on this backside of the pond, you have oh no, I flipped it around again. Sorry about that. But over there with those there, I'm trying to zoom in. There is a diver there. If you can see that yellow thing in the water, that's a floater, and there's a diver underneath. Just a few minutes ago, we saw another diver come out after he was underwater for some time. I'm not sure exactly how long, but I saw him in there at least 10-15 minutes. He was in there longer because he was already in when I got here. But this is the second diver that I've seen in the water, and the police officers up there, the detectives underneath those tarps, watching out. We don't know what they're looking for. We were told they are diving. Their diving here is related to the Moussa case. Now, Jholie Moussa, let me flip this around. I can talk to you better, but Jholie Moussa was a 16-year-old girl who lived here in the Mount Vernon area, went to Mount Vernon High School, and on January 12th, she went missing. She was with her twin sister, Janae, and she told her sister that she'd be right back, left the house, walked out the door, apparently to meet somebody who was contacting her through her cell phone. I I remember that it was on, I believe it was on Snapchat, communicating with someone, went to meet this person, and her sister thought, okay, she'll be right back. She never came back. And the girls had plans to spend the night at friends' houses and other plans like that. Their father was away and leaving his brother in charge of the girls, but the girls looked to be like they were going to be fine. But then Jholie never came home. The next morning, Janae realizes something's wrong because Jholie is not communicating on her cell phone. Her cell phone has gone dead. So, Mom and Dad are called. Everybody comes in. They try to find her. They put up an iPad to try to figure out where her last phone call, where the last communication was on her phone, and they did find the last call to her phone was from Woodlawn Park. And the phone call came from the cell phone of a 13-year-old boy who lives in this area. I've spoken to that boy. He tells us that a man came up to him and asked him if he could borrow his phone. That's the phone call that was the last one made to Jholie Moussa, which is what the family told me. So who was that man? We don't know. But last night, 7 months after her disappearance and murder, we now have an arrest. I should mention, of course, that 2 weeks after she went missing, they found her body in Woodlawn Park, the same park where that phone call was made, and that is very close to this pond as well. Now, the person arrested last night is an 18-year-old named Nebiyu Ebrahim. He was 17 at the time, and the two were classmates. The two were high school students at Mount Vernon High School, and they had dated. She had broken it off with him. He had also been charged with 2 assaults on Jholie Moussa. One was a strangulation for which he pleaded guilty and was convicted. He spent 1 month in jail on the conviction of that strangulation assault charge. And as soon as he was released on that, yesterday, Fairfax County Police filed a first-degree murder charge against him in Jholie Moussa's murder. So this morning, Fairfax County Police held a news conference. I reported that on this same Facebook channel, if you're interested. And they talked about the charge, they talked about the case. They said that they searched for Jholie Moussa from the start, from the moment they were called, which was the Saturday when the police called them. At the time, the family was very disturbed because there was no public notice of a missing girl in danger put out over that weekend, and that's what the family was concerned about. So anyway, now we have quite an investigation going on here. We're not sure what they're looking for. Perhaps it's her cell phone, perhaps it's something else. The medical examiner reports that her cause of death is asphyxiation by suffocation and blunt force trauma, I believe are the words. So still many questions. We'll be going to a court hearing this afternoon at 1:30 to see if we can find out more information, and I'll have more then. Just back here so you can see more of the, oh, sorry guys. Hard to see with the bright sun. Here we go. And that's the scene here. Divers in the water. Not really sure how long this is going to take. But I can tell you this, the family, just a little while ago, the victim's assistance folks brought the family here, and they were sitting at one of these picnic tables watching the search. So the family has not spoken to us publicly today. I did speak with both Jholie Moussa's mother and father. Her father now lives out in California, and mother lives in Texas. Much of the family is still here, aunts and uncles, and the entire family is looking for justice in this case. That's what they tell me. They want justice. The father told me last night that, you know, he's happy there's been an arrest. He said it's not going to bring Jholie back, but I'm comforted to know that justice is happening. And Sarita Moussa her mother told me that she had a mixture of reactions: sadness, anger, relief. Anyway, we'll be covering the case and have more later.